communities. Okay. To address some of the gaps and to work with some of those underserved business communities by increasing availability of finance to those people. So the goals of the funding is to increase that lending activity with more funding, enabling and supporting more funding to businesses that may have been excluded or declined from mainstream lenders. And also, really importantly, because it's one of the core aims of the British Business Bank, is to support a broader base of businesses, such as those led by ethnic minority founders and female-led businesses. There is also a focus on boosting access to finance for smaller businesses in some of the more deprived areas of our region. So in terms of more about the background to this, I think this is the good place to hand over to Matt, who will introduce himself and his organisation and tell us a little bit more. Over to you, Matt.
Thank you, Sue. And hi, everyone. I'm Matt Woodcock, and I'm the membership director at an organisation called Responsible Finance. And Responsible Finance is the trade body for all of the community development finance institutions, or CDFIs, in the UK. Delighted to join you today, and thanks to Lisa and Let's Do Business Finance for the invitation. So our members, including Let's Do Business Finance, provide really vital funding, but also tailored support to businesses that can often be overlooked by mainstream banks. And that's why we're so pleased that the British Business Bank have recently announced the Community Enable Funding Programme, which is injecting more funding into the CDFI network, enabling more SMEs and small businesses to grow and sustain. So I'm going to talk about three areas, really. So firstly, some of the obstacles SMEs and small businesses face in accessing mainstream finance. Secondly, how CDFIs help those that don't tick all the boxes. And then also the wider support that CDFIs provide beyond the crucial access to finance. So on the first point, the obstacles. So despite being the backbone of the UK economy, too many small businesses do struggle to access the finance they need, either to start up or grow. And this is particularly the case if they need smaller loans or lack trading history or collateral, operate in disadvantaged areas. And unfortunately, as well, if they are led by women, ethnic minorities, or first-time founders. And this is probably because traditional banks increasingly rely on automated systems and risk models that overlook human potential. It's a bit of a
it's up to you.
Bit of a computer says no culture. And it's actually interesting to note that in 2024 alone, 94% of the businesses that CDFIs went on to loan to had already been turned down by a mainstream bank, yet CDFIs found a way to support them, which is something we're really proud of. And 46% of CDFI-backed businesses were in the UK's most disadvantaged areas, including disadvantaged areas in the southeast and east that Let's Do Business Finance support. So, as Sue said, there is really a focus on supporting growth in areas that don't often receive lots of funding. So how do CDFIs do this, and how will the Community Enable Fund help those businesses that don't tick all the boxes? So I think Let's Do Business Finance and our other members do this by taking a bit of an old school bank manager approach, if you like. So they still meet you face to face and get to know you and build a relationship. They look at the risk. With any loan, there is always a risk assessment, but CDFIs look at that risk in context, which they're able to do through investing in the relationship. So they're not just focused on credit scores or algorithms. And I think the most powerful thing I hear our members say is that from the outset, they are looking for reasons to say yes to funding applications and not excuses to say no. some stats for you. So the CDFI sector is increasing lending year on year. And across our members in 2024, they lent 141 million to small businesses, which was a 39% increase on the previous year. And the KEF funding program is going to help that. The Community Enabled funding program is going to help that grow further. And that funding is essential because that enabled 5,000 businesses to launch and created almost 7,000 new jobs. And that's growth in our economy and development in our communities that wouldn't have happened without organisations like Let's Do Business Finance. And Let's Do Business Finance play a big part in this. So last year alone, they delivered nearly 9 million in loans across the southeast and east of England, supported nearly 4,000 startups, over 2,000 established businesses. And again, with that focus on inclusion. So over 1,500 of those businesses I've just mentioned were led by female entrepreneurs, over 1,100 by ethnic minority entrepreneurs as well. And then finally, so it's not just about finance. Let's Do Business and our members provide lots more support beyond the finance, and focus on supporting your business to really sustain and grow. They're kind of hands-on long-term partners. Let's Do Business, for example, provide coaching and support businesses to develop business plans and with cash flow forecasting. I know they offer a lot of training, networking and peer support, and work with a lot of organisations and councils within the local area. And that really helps them to help their customers and their clients grow their confidence and their skills, and increase their chances of success. So just to close, I would say that if you're on the webinar today, and you are or you're working with or know a small business that's heard a no from a bank, don't let that be the end of the story, because CDFIs like Let's Do Business Finance and our members really do want to say yes where others won't. And they're really working together to unlock ambition and help to build an economy in the UK that includes everyone. So thank you for having me. And I think I'm handing back to you, Sue.
To Lisa, actually. We're going to find out
Lisa.
more.
Apologies,
no,
Sue.
it's all right. No, we're going to find out more from Lisa about
Lovely.
some of the details of accessing the fund, what to expect, what's available. So I'm going to hand over to Lisa, and Lisa just put a note in the chat. I'd encourage you to either put a question into the chat, or we'll certainly have time for questions, because I know we've probably got some finance brokers as well as some business founders on the call today. So please have your questions ready for a little bit later. So over to you, Lisa.
Thank you, Sue. I'll just talk a bit more about what we do at Let's Do Business Finance. And Matt, thank you very much for explaining obviously how CDFIs work and giving some great stats of obviously what we ourselves have done over the past 12 months. So just to let you know about the area we cover. So Let's Do Business Finance are based down in East Sussex, but we cover across the whole of the South East and up into the east of England. And we support businesses through startup loans and also through our growth loans. And so the funding we provide is up to £150,000 under our growth loans. And we've done that through the government-backed schemes, through CBILS, through the Recovery Loan Scheme, and currently we're utilising the Growth Guarantee Scheme. So with the Community Enable Fund, it's a funding vehicle that sits behind the loans that we offer. So as a business, you don't come to us and say, I'd like to apply for a Growth Guarantee Scheme loan, or I want to apply for a Community Enable funded loan. You're applying for a business loan, and obviously we assess the best option for you. Sometimes that is a bit of a blended finance through even with startup loans and using the Growth Guarantee Scheme as well. So if you're not aware, startup loans provide funding up to £25,000 per individual in a business, and that's for businesses that have been trading for less than 3 years. However, if a business has had finance through startup loans and has been trading for less than 5 years, they are eligible to go back and apply for a second loan. So, we really do look at where business is in their trading history to see what is out there for them to support them. I'll just give you an example of a business that I supported a few months ago. It was in a very established business where the directors were looking to retire, and one of their managers was looking to step up and take over the business. So for him, he's never run a business before, so we was able to provide startup loans for him and his co-director, and then the rest of the money we used under the growth guarantee scheme. So we really looked at what was best, even though it was a really established business. The individual concerned, it was new to them. So, giving them a startup loan with interest, giving them a reduced interest rate of 6% for that funding. So they had funding up to 50,000 at 6%, and then we used the growth guarantee scheme. Now, we do come in slightly more expensive than the banks will offer, and I always say we're kind of mid-rate in our pricing. Our average rate we charge is 10% over base rate. So currently our loans are going out at 14.25%, and we do also charge an admin fee for setting up our loans as well. Now they are unsecured, and we do ask directors to provide personal guarantees to support the loan. But what we don't do under the growth guarantee scheme is take a charge over someone's primary residence. So other types of businesses that we funded using the Community Enable Fund. We recently funded a beauty business based down in East Sussex. They were looking to move into premises. They needed some money to help them fit the premises out, and it's a female-led business, and she was looking to start like a beauty academy. So that was a great example of how to use the Community Enable Fund. We also use the Community Enable Fund to help an existing customer of ours who'd come back to apply for some additional funding. And so that was to help them. Then we helped another business recently with a loan of 150,000. So this was building in an element of some refinance. Now, we are being approached quite a lot at the moment about refinance. Now, where we will look at helping the business is where they've taken on some short-term, extremely high-cost debt. That it's and we would try, but underneath that there is a good, viable business that's just for whatever reason had to take that funding out to help them pay some bills. But they've got, we can see through their forecasting they're sending to us that the business is going to do quite well, and they can afford to pay us. And what we're doing by refinancing that debt is putting money back into their working capital to help that business. So we helped this particular business save £8,000 a month in loan fees. And that helped them obviously move forward with their business. And then we've recently helped a sole trader who is opening up a retail business, and they've taken on premises and need some money for fitting the premises out, and also for stock and working capital. So that's types of examples of how we're using the funds. So, really sorry, my screen was moving itself there. So we don't say is there any particular sectors that we don't help. It's all about the individuals and the business and the proposition that's being put to us. And sometimes we'll actually work alongside another CDFI when they need more than the funding that we can provide. Sometimes we'll say, okay, we know this business that can also support business in your area, and so we'll have a chat with them, or we do a lot of work with finance brokers, and they'll kind of put an application to both of us, and we'll work together to support that business. Now, when the business is coming to us to apply for funding, we do need as much information as possible. We're not a computer says yes or no. You've got a person that's looking at that lend, and it's very much a manual assessment that we're doing. I say to most of my clients that I work with, I'm going to ask for a lot of information, and I'm going to ask you a lot of questions. And it is very much about building that relationship, and we don't cut that relationship off once the business has been funded. We have an ongoing relationship with our clients as well. And on a number of occasions, businesses have come back because they like the way that we work with them. So information we'll ask for, a business plan if it's available. We need up-to-date financial accounts. We need up-to-date management accounts, so profit and loss and balance sheet, 6 months business bank statements, and also a 12-month forecast. And that forecast really needs to show us, obviously, the need for the loan that's being applied for and how that money is going to be used, and also thinking about the repayment structure on that loan. Now, we do come across scenarios where there could be a group set up where there's several trading businesses, and then there's maybe a group business sitting at the top of that structure. So sometimes people will come to us and they only give us the information of the business they're looking to fund. We actually need information on all of the businesses under that group entity. So as much information as that can be supplied to us up front, then we can kind of work with the business and hopefully provide the funding quite quickly. The So obviously, as I've mentioned, you're not applying for a growth guarantee scheme or a loan under the community sustainable fund. It's very much you're applying for a business loan, and then we have a discussion with you to see obviously how we're going to be funding that loan and what scheme we're going to use to support you. Is there any, probably we can probably open up for some questions now, I think, at this stage. So I'm going to stop.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa. Has anybody got any questions? And while you're thinking about that, just to reiterate that one of the British Business Bank's core aims is to open up finance to businesses and to widen the availability of finance, which is exactly what the Community Enabled Funding Stream is doing. And it's a really busy landscape out there, as Lisa said. There's lots of options. We know now that 60% of lending is going to non-traditional is being made by non-traditional lenders, many of which you'll be less familiar with. The brokers who are the finance brokers who are with us today are the ones that will be familiar, and this adds to that, and it does exactly what the British Business Bank was aiming to do when it was set up, is to serve businesses that perhaps are overlooked, underserved. So just reiterating quite where this fits in. So do we have any other questions about what's behind the community enabled funding, how to apply, what businesses might it be good for? Anything there? I can't see anything in the chat, but please raise your hand if you have any. I mean, to ask you, Lisa, one of the things that we're always talking about when people are accessing finance is knowing what might be right for them. And maybe if you could expand on that discussion at the beginning, presumably a no obligation discussion to try to establish what might be right. And you talked a little bit about a mix of funding as well. Is there anything more that you can put in there? Because I'm sure there will be people who perhaps have been to the mainstream bank and just want to know a little bit more. Or perhaps, go on, if you say something there, and then we've got one question.
Yeah. So no, of course we we very much have that initial conversation with the client is just to kind of find out what their needs are, and then obviously we'll have a chat about what options are open to them. It's so it is very much about doing that fact finding at initial stages with them. I mean, obviously, we do work with a lot of finance brokers, and obviously, they will be doing some of that fact finding, and then they will be obviously coming out to obviously various lenders to see what support's available for them. So it's good for brokers to be updated about what's out there to offer their clients, because it is important as well. Is sometimes people sidestep the banks; they don't always go to their bank first, and we was kind of say, because generally the banks will be one of the cheaper options for you as a business. So do go and speak to your bank to see if they can support you. I know it can be extremely frustrating at times trying to find someone to talk to. But if it literally is, they can't help you or you don't get a response, that's obviously when you can reach out and see what other support's out there. Now, a great place to start to look for lenders in a particular area is to go on the British Business Bank website. And obviously you'll find if you look up the loan schemes, growth guarantee scheme and startup loans, you'll find obviously who the local providers are, and then obviously you can reach out. So I mean that's what I would say first and foremost. I know we've got a couple of hands up.
Yeah, and I think the Divine Domiciliary Care, I think that was first, and then it was Ryan and then Louise.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Divine,
feel free to come on camera or just shout out your question.
Hello. My question is, how long does the processing time take, and also what type of businesses are eligible for this grant? Because there's criteria for this, and I'd like to know what type of businesses are eligible for the loan. and how long
Yes.
it takes to process?
Yeah, so obviously, just to make it clear, it is loan funding, not grant funding. The process can take a little bit of time, and that depends obviously on the information that actually was sent, because quite often we're not sent the sufficient information in the first instance. So as I did mention, obviously, for when an inquiry comes in, we need an overview of obviously what the proposition is all about. We need to see your up-to-date financial accounts, your up-to-date management information from your last set of filed accounts, that is, up to date, and bank statements. So if you can provide some of that information up front, that what I would normally do when I'm working with a client, I can obviously have a look at that, do my own background research, and then I can give an indication as to whether we can support fairly quickly. Now, if we feel yes, we can move that application forward, then I would normally probably book a call in with the client and to get some more background information. So it can take a little bit of time, but it's all about how quickly we get that information. If we can get that information in fairly quickly, then obviously we can start progressing it to completing an application. Generally, if we're looking a good couple of weeks to do that, because it is a manual assessment we have to write up, and then that goes into our underwriters for assessment. So by the time we've received the information, assessed it, written up the report, submitted it to our underwriters, you are looking a good couple of weeks, and sometimes it can be longer depending on obviously what the situation is. Does that help answer your question?
Yeah, and also I'd like to know what is the pros and cons between getting a loan here and going directly to the bank? Like, what's the main differences?
As I mentioned, we would always recommend you go to your bank first to see if they
Yeah.
can support you, especially if you've got a good existing relationship with them. Definitely if you've already got a relationship manager, so you've got direct contact with somebody, speak to them first. What we come in is where you can't get that support from the bank. That's where we come in.
This
Okay.
particular, just to reiterate that, this particular line of finance is for those that might struggle to get finance from elsewhere. So that, just to reiterate that. I think Ryan, you were next, and then Louise. Ryan, over to you.
Terrific. Thank you, Sue, and thank you, Matt and Lisa, for organizing the session today. Really insightful. Lisa, you indicated obviously you want to see as much information as possible on the business and the nature of the request. From a broker perspective, what do you really need to see to get a decision in principle? Is it primarily kind of latest filed accounts and bank statements, or what else would you want to see to get that dip?
As I said, it's basically that financial suite of information. So then we know kind of fairly quickly whether we know we might be able to support that business.
And as you've alluded to, obviously, clients seeking a facility through Let's Do Business Finance has likely been declined by their bank or perhaps larger alternative finance providers. One would assume then you do have appetite for, and with the storybook that approach, you have appetite for businesses who may have time to pay arrangements or even CCJs unsatisfied, or is that just a non-starter?
Unsatisfied CCJs would be a non-starter. Sometimes, obviously, we find it and then customer might not be aware of it. So
Sure.
obviously, then if they can go away and get that rectified and provide evidence that CCJ's been settled, and obviously then we can have just a proper discussion with the people. Regarding time to pay arrangements, yeah, obviously they are quite common at the moment with HMRC, obviously. We just need to have a bit of understanding about the reason why they put that in place, and making sure obviously they're keeping up to date with repayments. It's not necessarily that the businesses have been declined. Quite often it's just that they're frustrated because they can't no one to talk to. And so that's normally where we would come in. It's yes, obviously, they might have been given a decline. We need to understand the reason for that decline. So it's all about that communication, having that conversation with the business and or the broker.
Terrific. And forgive me, I know you mentioned the value max facility is 150K. Is that over 5 years max term?
Our loan, yeah, we do up to 5 years. Just to mention that some of the other CDFIs in the sector, they do go up to 250,000. So it's just our particular stance at the current time is 150,000, and that's not limited on a customer's turnover. We work with businesses turning over quite a lot of money, and we work with some smaller businesses. Generally, if it's a turnover kind of say 100,000, sort of at the lower end, we're not going to be expecting them to apply for 150,000. They would generally be looking, just to say, under growth guarantee scheme as well, the minimum loan is 25,000. So we look between 25,000 up to 150,000.
Anything below that, I assume, would be covered by the startup loan company.
If they're eligible.
If they're eligible, of course. Great. And then finally, for any prospective brokers who want to register as a new business introducer with LDBF, are you the best point of contact for that?
Initially, yes. And then I can obviously have a chat and direct through the process.
Lovely. Thank you, Lisa, Sue, Matt. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think Louise.
Yeah.
Are you there, Louise?
Yeah, I'm here now.
Okay,
so
great.
You
Your
for
question.
organizing this. Yeah, I've got quite a few questions, but they're all linked. First of all, would you consider charity like a community interest companies? Are they
Okay, so
eligible?
obviously, yeah, a CIC, obviously, as we know, is a registered organisation. Now, where the problem we have quite often with CICs is that the individuals in that business don't wish to provide personal guarantees to support the loan. And that is one of our requirements, is that we do ask for personal guarantees.
Okay, on the subject of PG, which I was going to talk, if they can get an insurance, would you accept that from Purbeck or another provider?
Sorry, yeah, if they can get, if they're looking to take insurance to support that personal guarantee, we can definitely have a conversation.
Fantastic. So I've got a startup, the two directors. One of them is here on a startup visa, so not a British citizen.
Okay.
Are they, and I don't, on the visa, it says no, not eligible for public funds. Is this considered a public fund, or can she apply? One is British, one is obviously a foreign national.
Okay, so obviously with the foreign national, one of the main things is obviously how, we have to understand what the rights of their visa is, and also the length of the visa, because obviously if they've only got if it's only permitted for a short period of time, any finance that's provided would have to be repaid within 6 months prior to the expiry of their visa.
Yeah, she's here on a business startup visa, which after 2 years. She's been here for almost 2 years. Then she extended for another 3 years through the innovator founder visa route.
Okay, so unlikely she would get a loan at this stage, probably once she's extended her visa.
For another 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Then finally,
just to make it clear, obviously if her visa is then extended for 3 years, the maximum term of the loan would have to be 6 months before the expiry of that three-year visa.
Okay, so we've got a Turkish company about to be registered in the UK. They have 8 restaurants in Turkey, and they just bought a Pizza Express franchise over there, but they want to set up one of the restaurants in the UK here. They found a site in central London. Is that something you look at as a startup?
Yeah, I can't see why we wouldn't be able to look at that. As a trading, I'm assuming it's a trade. Obviously, it's a trading business, not the CIC you was referring to.
No, trading business.
Yeah. No, there's definitely something we can have a conversation about.
Thank you so much. Lastly, sorry, I think Matt mentioned that you can support clients with business plans and all that, because some of them struggle to do the business plan. Obviously, if you charge them a fee, will you be able to offer that service?
We don't tend to charge a fee. Depends where your client's based. Obviously, who would be the best organisation to refer them to?
They're based in the UK, in London. Mainly.
In London, okay. Yeah. So, I mean, no, it's definitely something we can have a look at.
Okay, thank you so much. That'd be all.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Matt, was there something that you wanted to come into before I just handed over to Gravel's question?
Yes, if that's okay. It's just brief, thanks.
Jump in there, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just to come back. So a couple of people asked questions about the sort of types of businesses that are eligible. I just thought it would be useful, Lisa, if you could share your fantastic impact report, which gives a really good idea of the breadth and diversity of businesses that you've supported and funded. So that was one point. And then to Ryan and any brokers, as Lisa said, Let's Do Business Finance lend up to 150,000. And for loans under that within the southeast, we definitely encourage you to speak to Let's Do Business Finance. But there is also a website, findingfinance.org.uk, if you're looking to support clients out of that region or above that amount. So you can either look at findingfinance.org.uk to see the other CDFIs who lend, and also you can speak to Responsible Finance if you have a specific question. That was it. Thank you. So,
thanks, Matt. So, Greville, your question. And then
Yeah,
Louise, looks
that.
like you've got another one. Yeah, Greville.
Yeah, I'm a broker, and I can sort of see how this could be really, really useful for startups, and certainly getting them what I would call bank ready, whether that's tier one or tier two, say 2 or 3 years down the line after startup. Because initially, with a lot of startups, the banks just don't want to know. Now, when I see a client, I always look to put together a really detailed and structured overview from start to finish of what the proposition is, its ability to repay and that kind of thing, which I'd be happy to put into you. But like you, Lisa, I like to have a really kind of close hands-on relationship with my client. So where this is all going, if I get somebody into you, I'm assuming the answer to this is yes, but you will work very closely with me and that client. It's not a case of I'm excluded from the relationship.
Absolutely not. No, I work with quite a few brokers, and very much we have a really good relationship. And quite often when I have a call with a client, I always invite the broker to be part of that call, because when you get to understand how we work and the type of questions that we ask. So it gives you more, an indication of types of information that we need for when we're writing up our assessment. So it very much is a two-way street. The fact that you just mentioned, obviously, you're very hands-on with your clients, you put a detailed plan together. That's the type of brokers that we want to work with.
Yeah, fine. Okay. And in terms of registering with yourself, just so I've understood it right, if I just send you an email,
Have
you can
a
send me.
one-to-one conversation.
Yeah, I'll give you a call. We'll just sort out whatever you got to do and get registration done.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Greville. Did Louise have another question? I thought I saw her question go, or maybe that was a legacy hand.
Was a legacy one.
Oh, okay. How are we doing? Are there any more?
Is there any more questions that have got particular questions on here?
I haven't seen any in the chat, Lisa.
Amy. Amy, have you got a question?
Hello, sorry. Yeah, I just had to unmute my own phone. Me and my business partner, we started up our business back in August last year. And it's been going really well, but we need to start looking at finance and those situations. His side is fine. Like he's financial side, should I say, is fine. He's got nothing wrong with his history. But when I was younger, took out loads of loans and all that other stuff, which are getting paid back, but I've got a debt management plan. So I don't know if that would affect our ability to apply for any of these startup loans or anything.
Okay, Amy, I'll be honest with you. For yourself, yes, it would do, because it would come up in your credit history. But aside from that, your business partner should be able to apply.
Oh, okay.
So, because obviously with startup loans, you're applying as an individual for the base, and then obviously, when he's applying, obviously they will pick up obviously that you're part of the business, and it's just about explaining the situation.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks.
Joshua.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lisa. I was wondering whether there are circumstances where you would say no, as well?
Unfortunately, yes, we do have to say no at times, and so sometimes that is just based on the financial information that's put before us. So it could be a case that we're sent some information where we're seeing ongoing losses in a business's profit and loss statement, and then the balance sheet is showing that it's in a negative position, that we can see that it's kind of showing signs of insolvency. So quite often they're that's not the type of business we would be able to kind of support.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other questions from anybody?
I'd like to say that the chat is disabled, so we can't actually write anything on the chat.
The chat is open.
It says disabled.
No, it's not, because all the questions I put there, you didn't see it.
No, they were done as private questions, Louise.
Bye-bye.
Yeah,
I think I might only be seeing the private chat actually, Lisa. So
Okay.
I'm not sure whether I'm seeing the open chat.
It seems to be open now. It was disabled,
right,
but I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
Apologies for that. I think I've managed to just open it. I wasn't aware of it. I apologise.
You fixed it, Lisa.
Yeah.
Lisa, you had mentioned the interest rate being around 10% above base rate, which is quite competitive amongst the other CDFIs, and as well as an arrangement fee. Could you indicate what that arrangement fee is?
Yeah, it's 5%.
5%.
So businesses have two options there. They can either add the fee onto their loan, and then obviously that's built into monthly payments, or if they wish to deduct it from the amount of the loan, then they can do that. So they have either option to choose. Just to mention, obviously, each CDFI will have their own kind of fees and interest rates that they charge. That's just what we charge at the current time.
Understood. Thank you.
And just going back and just talk, I mentioned about personal guarantees, other types of security that we do look at taking sometimes. Obviously, we might also look at mortgage debentures, for certain cases, and also where, as I mentioned earlier on, about assessment about where there's like a group set up with a set of companies, we're sometimes putting into place like intercompany guarantees, what we call cross-company guarantees. So obviously we're looking at what's the right setup there that we have to look at, obviously, for that particular deal.
Have we got any other questions? Anne-Marie, you came off mute there. Is there a question there, or is?
Oh no, I was just going to say that it was deactivated, but it's fine. Thank you.
Okay. Well, we're coming to the end of the time that we allocated to this, and I think the best thing is if there are any other questions, Lisa, myself, my colleague Paul Sullivan, if there are any people in the east of England, he's on the call. Please do get in touch. I think we will send. Oh, there's another question there. Go on then.
Is Lisa the direct point of contact? So how do we get everyone else's emails and details to contact?
I think we'll send out an email directly with some links. Lisa, is that the best thing to do?
Yeah, I think that's probably the best thing to do.
Okay, we can do that. And that's if there's any questions, there'll also be some information.
What would be easy, if it's okay, is if you want any information sent to you, could you just put your email address in the chat for me, and then I will send. Obviously, then I know that I can send you. What I'll do is I can send you a copy of the slides, and I'll send you obviously our contact details.
So I think we'll probably draw it to a close there. Is that the best thing to do, Lisa? Unless you or Matt have got anything else to add, but we'll make sure that we get all the right information out to you, so you've got the information, and there's a different line of connection and questioning from brokers than businesses themselves. So we'll do that.
I would just also
anything else from you, Lisa?
Just to say that obviously this webinar has been recorded. Please do follow Let's Do Business Finance on platforms like LinkedIn, because we will be sharing the link on LinkedIn. So obviously we had a lot of people registered that haven't been able to make the call today. So just that other people can pick it up and listen to the information that's being provided this afternoon.
Okay, so I think I'll just say thanks very much, Lisa, for inviting Matt and myself to join the webinar, and hopefully that's been a useful canter through what's available, but really important new line of finance to help those businesses that might be struggling to raise finance from somewhere else. So really encourage you to follow up and just make sure that you find out as much as you can if you're looking for finance to take your business to the next level. So on that note, we will say good afternoon and keep in touch. Thanks very much.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very useful. Thanks a lot.